Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and I have been your beat reporter covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for OnSI every single day since August 2019, and we are continuing to move forward through yet another season together. As always, you can find our 100% free 24/7 boots on the ground content when you follow us at Jaguars on SI on social media such as Facebook and Twitter, and also at www.si.com/NFL/Jaguars. All right, welcome folks to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. Today we are discussing once again the Cincinnati Bengals, Jacksonville Jaguars, and three storylines that I'm kind of looking for this week as things play out. Now, for me, the first storyline is simply, can Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence get back on track together? That, to me, in a week of green flags, where it seemed like everything the Jaguars needed to go well did go well. Their free agents played well. The new head coach called a good game and had a relatively easy day of it. The running game was revived. The defensive coordinator was able to kind of put his stamp on things, and they had a good showing. It felt like everything kind of went well for the Jaguars last week against the Panthers, that there were very few things to say, oh, this is concerning. To me, there were two concerning things from the entire game. One was, of course, the penalties. I believe they had 11 penalties. It came on both sides of the ball, but especially the offense, whether it's holding, intentional grounding. I believe they had a false start in there. Whatever it was, the Jaguars had too many penalties. And that has been an issue for the team really since training camp began. But to me, the single biggest red flag of the week and the most concerning thing of the week, and a week full of unconcerning things, was the fact that Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence could not get on the same page. 7 targets, and he got 11 yards out of it. He had, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'd venture to guess one of the worst yards per route ran games of his young career. And Liam Cohen has kind of went through each missed opportunity, missed throw, whatever you want to call it. I think it was mostly on Trevor. Maybe a play here or two where it was on Brian, or Brian Thomas Jr. contributed to it. But I feel like this connection needs to get going quickly. Now, if they had a great camp together and that was just a one-off game, that'd be one thing. And we do have evidence of them having a good connection because we saw it last year before Trevor got hurt. They had a very good connection. But we've seen all training camp these two struggle to get on the same page with each other. We've seen all training camp these two struggle to have, really a similar connection to the one they had last year that helped make Brian Thomas Jr. a star and made Trevor Lawrence look like he finally found a number one receiver. Because this is a carryover from training camp, that's what makes it more concerning to me. And that, to me, is a red flag that you have to watch. The next storyline, I think, Trey Hendrickson versus Walker Little. I mean, Trey Hendrickson, folks, is as good of a pass rusher in the NFL as there is who isn't named Myles Garrett. To me, Myles Garrett is in a planet of its own, his own, will always be in a planet of his own. Even in the final year he spends in the NFL, he's probably going to be a complete freak of nature. To me, though, after Myles Garrett, I think you can make an argument for Trey Hendrickson as that next guy. Even with Micah Parsons, he was obviously a phenomenal elite talent. So Walker Little against Trey Hendrickson, I think, is going to be a fascinating battle. It will be the biggest test for Walker Little under Liam Cohen so far. It will be a competition that helps define who wins this entire game. Because, I mean, if Walker Little slows down Trey Hendrickson, that's a suspect Bengals defense behind him in the back seven. And even really the rest of the front four. That defense really feels like a one-man band with Trey Hendrickson. And maybe Shamar Stewart, will develop alongside him. Obviously, he had a good game in week 1. We'll see if he continues to develop. But to me, this is a matchup that could decide the entire game. So can Walker Little handle Trey Hendrickson on an island? He'll get his plays where he gets a chip, obviously, from a tight end, from LaQuinn Allen. But will this be a week where Walker Little takes a massive step forward? I mean, if Walker Little has a good game against Trey Hendrickson and Anton Harrison has a repeat performance as to what he did in week 1, where he was one of, the top performers on the entire team, the sky is the limit for the offensive line in that scenario. So I think Walker Little, there will be a lot of focus on him and on that battle. He's not just facing, the Bengals' best defender. He's facing one of the 3 to 5 best defenders in the entire NFL. And who have been in the entire NFL for the last couple of years. It is a real deal matchup. Then the last storyline, I think, obviously just Travis Hunter's role. Liam Cohen said expect to see a little bit more Travis, on defense this week. I think that part of that might have to do with the fact that, they're playing a pass-happy team who obviously, wants to throw the ball all over the yard. You have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins, you have Joe Burrow. They're going to put the ball in the air quite a bit. And outside of his 1 rep against T-Mac last week, where he just, in my opinion, simply gave up too much coverage before the ball was snapped. In his otherwise, 5 snaps a corner? He looked like what you expect. He looked like Travis Hunter at corner. Travis Hunter is a great cornerback. So I'm interested to see just how much more you see Travis Hunter on defense this week. And if you do see more of him, why? Is it because that they're playing such a good offense? Or is it because, he's one more week removed from the injury and all that stuff? But this secondary will, be put on notice this weekend. There might not be a tougher matchup for a secondary than the one that they are going to face on Sunday, when you have 2 legitimate alpha male number 1 receivers and a top 10 quarterback in the NFL who's willing to, throw the ball up for them and let them win. So, how the secondary responds this week, I'm very interested to see. And I think one way you can ensure, or, if you don't want to use the word ensure, one way you can make yourself feel a lot better about the secondary is by having Travis Hunter in it. No, I'm not saying, let Travis Hunter shadow Jamar Chase the entire game or anything like that. But what I am saying is, I think it'd be an advantageous idea for the Jaguars to go ahead and deploy a bit more Travis Hunter in the secondary on Sunday. I think that Travis Hunter and his role in offense is one thing. But they mentioned, going week to week with this experiment before. And determining his roles based on what they need that week. And this week, I think they need corners. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. We'll be back next time.